Gates is going to start with an opening statement before moving on to questions.
Definitely a unbelievable opportunity for both programs. Early in the season, we have an opportunity to go out on the road in the Big Ten country in Minnesota against a well-coached program that is led by Coach Johnson, who I respect so dearly. Unbelievable coach, but also a historic place, a great venue. A little different because there's a heightened court, but it's still a remarkable venue to play in, and they have great talent in the program. Their fans are unreal. Great city, nothing but positive. Moving forward as it relates to who we are, we got to continue to be able to do the things that we've concentrated on in the last couple games, and I thought one of those came out as a lesson, another in a victory. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing who we are in this hostile environment.
Hey, Dennis, you mentioned that, being intentional and having a tougher non-conference schedule, and especially right out of the gate. And how have you seen your group respond to the early challenges and really put what they're learning in these games to work?
Yeah, I think behind the scenes, you see the work. And sometimes in essence, work doesn't always lead to immediate success or outcomes that you want. It takes a little bit of more labor. It takes some patience, but also our guys' hearts are in the right place. And that's what I look at most. We don't want to not compete. We want to be able to do that. But ultimately, during this time with so many new guys, it allows us to get to know each other in a quicker way with our foot to the fire.
Any other questions?
I'll follow up. What are the biggest things that you feel like you've learned about your team in the first 3 games?
I think we have to continue to take care of the basketball. And when I say take care of the basketball, we have a positive assist to turnover ratio on the season, but it's not a deviation how I want. I want a 2-to-1 ratio, and it's not there. The other thing is being able to bounce back from the Memphis lesson that we learned and coming into a focus and against a well-coached SIUE team who I think can win their conference. So being able to compete but also recover how we recovered is something that stands out. But more importantly, how and who we are amongst adversity. I didn't think we handled ourselves accordingly in the second half, and I'll do a better job with that. That starts with me, and we have to continue to, put 2 halves together.
Dennis, you've got another challenge with a Big Ten team coming early on, but what different challenge does Minnesota pose to maybe Memphis?
Well, I think there are different styles of games, but most importantly, Minnesota is a more physical team. I think that's the characteristic of a Big Ten program. You look at size 4 position, you look at Dawson Garcia, you look at the different guys they have on the wing, from Isaiah to Joshua to even Hawkins, the point guard who transferred in. You look at those guys that are experienced. You look at the young kid, Cam Christie, who's very talented. You look at Carrington. You look at Fox. You look at different guys they have on their roster. They have size for a position. And whenever you have size for a position, you pose a threat of giving up multiple free throws. And that's where I think the game has to be won. We have to be able to match them at the free throw line via percentage. We can't have them double us and have more free throws made than we even attempt, right? I think ultimately when you play the game that way, there'll be more post feeds. But again, there's a way we play too. And, it's 2 great historic programs, 2 young coaches, and some great players. And we just want to give our guys an opportunity to go out and give their very best.
You mentioned the size for position there.
Yeah.
Obviously getting Conor Lanover back this week. What's kind of the plan to utilizing him for getting back? Not just this game, but going forward as well?
Well, I mean, we just have to, see where he's at. And he's been practicing, which is tremendous for him to continue to do. It wasn't like he was, not able to practice. So he's been there every step of the way. He's been coaching his behind off. in our last 3 games. He's been into it mentally and emotionally. And those are the things you want a guy like him who's been through several seasons to be able to stay connected. And he's been that. I think he has a smile on his face, if anything. But, the guys love him. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in this system. This is his first time playing in this system. It's not a secret. This is his first game back. But ultimately for him, I don't want him to just try to make home runs. I want him to play simple and stay within himself and ultimately allow the game to come to him.
Historically has been kind of a big ball movement team. They average a lot of assists. How do you kind of prepare for a team that likes to run that kind of system?
Well, I mean, we have to do what we need to do in terms of staying disciplined. We cannot allow the mental fatigue of what passing does. We can't allow that to offset us. They're also a team that can run in opportunity and make easy baskets. So we want to be able to make sure our transition defense is there. We want to be able to make sure we're not giving guys open looks. So it's going to come down to our communication in a road environment, which is the first road test of our team. And I'm looking forward to seeing who we are. And obviously, the barn is a historic place. It's a great venue. And I think our guys, in essence, will be prepared because also when you look in our season, Vanderbilt has a offset in their home court as well. So I think this game, not only short term helps us, long term it does as well. And that's what we try to put our guys in those situations.
Coach, obviously there's a lot of newcomers on your team, but they all have a lot of experience. What are some of the things you're wanting to see from your guys in handling a road environment for the first time this season?
Well, I don't want our guys to panic. And when I say panic, I don't want to see them do uncharacteristic things. I want us to just go out and play a good game, right? The style that we play. Now, self-inflicted wounds will hurt that. They're going to make tough shots. They're going to play well. Minnesota will. But we cannot allow ourselves to get distracted. And we have to be okay with what we do and what they do and see what the end of the game entails, see what it does, see what side of the coin we'll be on. I just want to be able to see where we are. And I think that will give us a great barometer.
Coach, you mentioned over the offseason how Nick needs to be a little bit more selfish and he needs to look for his own a little bit more. It's going to sound like kind of a weird question, but how would you assess his selfishness through these first few games, and what would you like to see from him more as an on-ball creator?
He's too unselfish. I mean, it's just his human nature. I don't, me and his dad talk often. His dad's a big-time high school coach, on the women's side in Florida. And we talk, and we just want the same for Nick. But Nick is a high empathetic guy, and he cares what his teammates think. He cares if he's viewed as a guy that's shooting too much. So for me, a guy that, he just doesn't shoot enough for me. And I want him to shoot it how Demoy Hodge had no conscience, right? I think you guys saw that last season. But we saw spurts of Nick Honor being able to take over a game. I just think he allows the game to come to him, which is a great characteristic of leadership and patience. But I want him to be aggressive too. And, that goes with a lot of our other guys. I want Aiden Shaw to be more aggressive. I think when you look at Aiden Shaw, his growth, you see the different plays that he makes in practice, the risk he takes in practice, that has to take place in a game. And I think he plays safe because he doesn't want to make mistakes. But ultimately, it's my job to continue to build his confidence up so he can go out there and give his very best and make those same clips when you watch practice show up in actual games. And I think he's on his way to growth. The other kid that I would say, should be a little bit more selfish, I think, is a Tamar Bates. Tamar is a tremendous young man. He has Big Ten experience, being at Indiana for 2 years. And I'm sure our guys are asking him about playing in that venue, but also the Big Ten style. And we're going to continue to communicate on that. But I want to see Tamar Bates selfishly do some things as well.
Coach Gates, I wanted to ask you, far back your relationship goes with Ben Johnson, and if you could also talk about being a young Black coach and, you know, having success that you've had early, but maybe he hasn't had that yet, and just how his program and the fan base just has to have maybe a little bit of patience and buy into his system.
This is Marcus. Marcus, you from Minnesota?
Yes,
How you doing, man?
pretty good. Thank you.
Good to see you on here. Ben Johnson is a great coach. He's an unbelievable coach. Whenever you have peer coaching, we were in college at the same time. He was at Northwestern. He started his career there, and I decided to go elsewhere, right? And we have grown from players to coaching. So you see different guys. We're connected through like people. He has some good friends that are my good friends, and I've seen him grow, and he's worked for some tremendous coaches. You know, Minnesota is lucky to have a guy like that want to be there, and that's what it's about. He has a tremendous reach when it comes down to recruiting. He had a tremendous class, and you cannot, you know, eliminate what happened. He had a last-second decommitment, and that's not on him. It's on the different parameters around kids, right? But he's growing as a coach, no different than me. Tremendous student of the game, respected among our peers. No matter where he goes, he's respected. People know who he is. And he's unbelievable person, man. You know, his best coaching is ahead of him. I truly believe he'll be on the sidelines as a head coach for 20 plus years. And many people don't get that opportunity, but Ben is a great dude, unbelievable competitor. And he's the right guy that fit their system.
One last question on that. Just when did you guys get together, talk about the home and home, and what are the advantages of that? Just having them come back to Missouri next year.
Yeah, no different than myself. I'm trying to resurrect and reconstruct a tradition-rich basketball program. No different than Coach Johnson is doing the same. And we look at the history of both programs. It's fitting that we do play. It's fitting that you know, a state school plays another state school, especially when it's not based off a Big Ten, SEC, or ACC challenge or MTE tournament. More coaches should challenge their teams in playing home and homes. And no different than I challenged my team to go, let's go play a road game. And they were receiving of that. It came down to this summer where we all were looking for games. And instead of waiting for a lesser opponent on my end and on his end, we both just, you know, had the same thoughts and same conversation. And it was simple. What do you think? Do you think this can take place? And, you know, we were able to contact some of his assistant coaches over there, and they do a tremendous job as well. And, you know, they got it in front of whoever they needed to get it in front of administration wise. And I did the same thing. And our ADs wanted it to take place. So whenever you have competitive teams that look at a advantage of teams growing, especially this early, playing a road game or having another high major in their gym to play a home game, you give something to your fan base. I think ultimately in the barn is going to be loud. I think the fan base is going to rally behind not just this game, but for all the games. And I'll tell you this, our season last year didn't take place because our fans was watching from afar. It took place because our fans got in the seats and they rallied our guys. So hopefully Ben can have that same reciprocation because I know what he can do when he's supported. And, you know, it'll be a tough game. That's why I wanted to play in it. And my guys reminded me today that, Coach, you know, your first ever game you coached was in Minnesota. So this is, I coached, I guess, at Minnesota in my first game, and I didn't even realize it. So.
All right, one last question.
Coach, do you expect Caleb Brown to be back? Is he feeling better?
Yeah, I'll give you this on Caleb Brown. So he had two situations taking place at the same time, oddly enough. He's been playing tremendous basketball for us. It hurts not having him out there. but the shin bruise and then also flu-like illness. Right now, he's over the flu-like illness and he was in practice today, but we still are precaution until we get some results on what is taking place with that shin. That's a bruise right now. So we'll see exactly what that is and what it's like. He will travel. There's a potential he may or may not play. We'll have to make that decision game time to see how he feels ultimately and see what our trainer and doctors say.
All right, thanks, coach.
Last one. Let me get them.
Just
Sorry.
similarly with Nick Honor, I know you said it could have gone back in
Yeah.
last game. I was just wondering a couple of days.
Yeah, Nick Honor is perfectly fine as well. Nick is playing. Nick's not going to not play. He just held himself out, and it was okay because of the score. He would have put himself back in the game, no different than he subbed himself out. If guys subbed himself out, they have a right to come back in the game. I checked with him. And he just gave me the nod. He's okay. Let Ant get some reps, which is what he allowed to take place. All right.
All right, thanks, coach.
Thank you, guys. MIZ.